Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Psychedelic Art Exchange YouTube channel. As you might have noticed, we've been experimenting with a handful of differently themed auctions this year that sort of go off the beaten path from our usual mega sales and CGC auctions. But we're really excited to share this newest one with you. We're calling it Posters That Swing Jazz Advertisements of the 20th Century, and it's open now until Thursday, July 31st at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Obviously, this auction centers on jazz artists, and so many of the most innovative, important jazz performers in history are represented here. So let's dig in.
Well, yes, this is a subject that is near and dear to my heart and Katie's too. Somehow, jazz got into my ear early. I mean, when I was a kid, it was through fusion, and
Mhm.
in fact, one of my very first concerts, I actually have a poster from. Let's see if
Oh,
I
good.
can.
You
Yeah, yeah,
got
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Oh, I was
Yes,
thinking
yes.
about that. Yeah.
This was Weather Report on Halloween in 1978. I was all of 15 years old, and this is a globe poster that was harvested in the wild by me. So this was not only my first kind of, introduction to live jazz, but also, I think posters. Yeah, this is a wonderful thing. I mean, and
To be clear, this is not being sold in this
no,
auction.
no,
We're
no, no.
just showing it off for
This is
fun. But
this is for display purposes
Mm.
only. And that sort of sprung me into fusion, and then I got everything else along the way. I mean, you know, rock and roll is still where we hang our shingle, but this jazz stuff, it shows up in our auctions periodically, but this is the first time where we've had enough where we could assemble a reasonable sale that that try to it pokes its head in through jazz history reasonably well. But
yeah.
and Katie in college was a DJ on her college radio station and had a jazz show, which was amazing. It was really great to listen to for me.
I mean, we love improvisational music, and I mean, the Grateful Dead is your whole thing.
Yeah,
That's what I was raised on, and I think it's hard to like love something like that and not have an appreciation for jazz.
I mean, the Grateful Dead is jazz.
Yeah.
It's jazz that uses a lot of different musical styles as their, but also, I mean, something like Dark Star goes off into every direction. They really, and Jerry was influenced. Phil was influenced by Coltrane, and Jerry, where did he get turned on? Was it Charles Lloyd Quartet or something? Quintet? At the Rock Garden. Supposedly, that's where Jerry really it got into his head. So, yeah, improvisational music, jazz, it's all there. But this focuses on American jazz music,
Mhm.
which was, really in, for 20, 30 years, it was everything. And
Yeah.
so it started, earlier in the century, and with ragtime and blues influences, and then I guess Louis Armstrong was really the one of the first popular artists, and he
Mhm.
was from New Orleans, and he went to Chicago and recorded with the Hot Five and the Hot Seven, some of the earliest jazz recordings, and then it eventually made its way to the 20s and 30s, where big band and swing took over. It was the craze,
Right.
and this is one of the fathers, Duke Ellington. This is the
Mhm.
one really interesting kind of really old piece that we have here. We from the
Mhm.
30s, and I mean, Duke Ellington, he made his fame as being the band leader at the Cotton Club, and had an incredible career writing some of the greatest jazz standards ever. He was in the late 30s, he composed Take the A Train with Billy Strayhorn, and he and Strayhorn would have a relationship on composing for the next 20 years or so. So, I mean, Duke Ellington, this is the height of, the big band era, and this
And
is
that's
like,
from the
I
1930s.
know,
That's almost 100 years old. That's pretty crazy,
yeah,
you know?
this is you know, this is a historic piece.
Yeah,
This is sort of the focus of the sale. The other ones, you know, jump in and out of jazz history, like I say. Like the next one
sure.
is for, you know, Cab Calloway, who was, you know, big at the big band era,
Right.
and also morphed into jump blues. That was,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, Minnie the Moocher. It was, and that was jump blues led to R&B to rock and roll. So yeah, he wrote you know, Jump and Jive, which is you know, that one of those links to late, later you know, styles. And I caught on to Jump and Jive, believe it or not, through Joe Jackson. He has this record that he put out called Jump and Jive, where he does that and Louis Jordan tunes. It's an amazing thing.
Mhm.
Go check that out.
Well, it's
So
interesting about this poster because he was the entertainment for like the halftime of the Harlem Globetrotters show for
yeah,
like a couple of years.
that's you know, it is pretty. I mean, this was past his prime. This is, but
Mhm.
he was still an iconic performer. I even saw him when he was much older, like you know, at the Symphony Hall, and it was
Hmm.
yeah, I you know, I got to see him before he died. So I, you know, yeah, so this is a little later, but it's still a Cab Calloway cardboard. It's hard to nail some of these in the era where they happen because it's just so rare. Those pieces rarely come up, but
Sure, and I mean later is still this is like 1960s, early
yeah.
1960s, so still pretty old.
Yeah, it's 61, but in, you know, relative to his career.
Sure.
But and yeah, check out Louis Jordan if you don't know him also. The next is Glenn Miller. And you know, Glenn Miller was like the top selling recording artist for years. He was also in the military though, and he was like the father of military bands, really.
Mhm.
Now this is a posthumous piece because he went missing on a flight in, you know, in the 40s, but the band, you know, lived on after him through his drummer, whose name was Ray McKinley. But the
Mhm.
thing that's cool about this, it's, you know, it's cardboard, it's day glow, it's kind of a cool piece from
And it's
Canada.
still really old.
Yeah, and it's old, yes, even though it's not, you know,
Yeah.
of the era. But anyhow, moving right along to more into the era that I'm familiar with is, you know, this is cool because it's, you know, it's Freddie Hubbard, who played with a lot of people, with Ornette Coleman, Sonny Rollins. He played with Art
Mhm.
Blakey and the Jazz Messengers and Eric Dolphy. I caught on to Freddie Hubbard from VSOP, a very special one-time performance, and it was Herbie Hancock, Freddie Hubbard, Wayne Shorter, Ron Carter, and Tony Williams. That record really turned me on. That's a wonderful period, and it's, you know, it's later than this, but this cardboard Freddie Hubbard, solid piece in good shape too. It,
Very cool. Very, very cool.
and you know, another cardboard beauty here is this, and this is more closely related to the time when, you know, these artists were happening. But you know, the really the name that we want to talk about is Dave Brubeck, because,
Mhm.
you know, Brubeck had this album, Time Out, with Take Five on it, with, you know, all these interesting rhythms and stuff. But it was the style. You look at the record cover, it's that mid-century. It's like, it's when, you know, jazz was getting modern and cool, and yeah, this is a little bit. This is like a year before that
Yeah.
record came out.
I know. Take Five is definitely one of those songs that every single person knows.
Yeah, if you
You
know,
you can't not know
right?
it, even if you don't know it by title.
Yeah,
It's in everything. I mean, you hear it in movies, on TV. Like it's that song. It's great. And Sonny Rollins is
and
also on
Sonny
that
Rollins,
poster.
who we love, who's just like the most joyful saxophone player. It's
Mm.
just, you know, except for Ornette. Ornette's like joyful and wacky, but I mean, anyhow, yeah. This is like a real jazz poster, and it's very cool. Maynard Ferguson, who got a lot of attention. I remember him being like on, you know, TV when I was, you know, he was on those variety shows and whatnot. Anyhow, Yeah,
Well,
that's
lots of cardboard in this auction, which is worth noting because that's, a little different from what we usually have. And when we do have cardboard posters, they're pretty exciting.
and most of this happened on cardboard in the
Mhm.
air until we get to uh the 70s, the when it was cool to smoke cool cigarettes. I mean, this is, yeah, it's Herbie Hancock, and it's right around the time of VSOP. He also
Uh-huh.
did a record with Chick Corea around then too. But and Muddy Waters is on the bill. It's 78.
Yeah.
It was that was like around the time when he was playing with Johnny Winter, I think. And anyhow, yeah, this is a lovely piece. This is, and
Yeah.
it's also on board.
It's very cool. It's from Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah, from Hawaii.
And I mean, I love Herbie Hancock. I got to see him a few years ago, which was really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
he was
he made some of
amazing.
the wildest music ever.
Yeah, one of the founding fathers of fusion.
Hmm.
Headhunters, that
Hmm.
record with Watermelon Man. That is,
Hmm.
fusion standards.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Wow.
he's still going.
Yeah, and he's still good.
Yeah, and he's still good. Yes. Um,
Importantly.
yes. So that's a nice piece. And then we have some of the smaller pieces, because most of this stuff was distributed by hand, especially in the cities where it was popular. In New York especially, the flyers and handbills were way more common than the posters. And
Mhm.
here we have Benny Goodman,
Mm.
the king of swing, but it's
Mhm.
way past his prime, but it's the design's cool. I picked these because the design works. This is so it's the
Pretty good
caricature.
condition too.
Yeah, it's a lovely piece.
Yeah.
And then we have Brubeck again at Carnegie
Mhm.
Hall, so that's huge. Yeah, and it's really in pristine shape. This thing's lovely. And and I find the design of this one great. It's a Latin jazz piece.
Mhm.
This wasn't the kings of Latin jazz. Tito Puente's known as the king of Latin jazz, and it's a great genre which I haven't really dug into deeply, but I just the look of this somehow really works for me. So
I like it too, yeah. And I think that one is that the one that's like the breakfast dance. It was like
yes,
from midnight to like 6 a.m. or
yeah, a
something.
lot of the stuff was in New York, and it was happening, man.
Yeah.
It's definitely time machine material. And
Mhm.
so if this works, maybe we can pull this off more regularly. And if we can pull in consignments of real heavy stuff, I mean, there's a few like order forms and whatnot that have Monk and Miles and Train in the sale, but
Mhm.
those are the heavies for me, the modern jazz. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there's so much to look at. I mean, it's really really cool. And definitely let us know what you think about this kind of material. We'd love to know if it's something you like and something you want to bid on. And thank you for joining us during this brief exploration of jazz history from our limited perspective. It's been fun to look at some different kinds of things. And again, you can bid in this auction until next Thursday, July 31st at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Links are all in the description. Uh, Thank you. We'll
Thank
see you
y'all.
again soon.